Welcome to the Christian Contractor Podcast.
Christian Contractor Podcast.
A show created for kingdom-driven Christian contractors that are focused on scaling their business in God's name while positively impacting the world around them. If you're ready to ascend from a contractor to a purpose-driven business owner, we're here to serve you. Here's your host, Brandon Guthrie.
What makes a homeowner say yes on the spot? What's up? I'm Brandon Guthrie with Dream Design Labs on the Christian Contractor Podcast, where it's our mission to help Christian contractors bring the passion and purpose back into their business and scale it in the name of God so that we can positively impact the world through the abundance we create together. Thanks for tuning in. I'm super excited to have Justin with One Click Contractor with me today. Justin, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Brad. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I see you're out there in Nashville at the event, sponsoring events, getting out there and making those connections and networking and making a positive impact.
I got my cowboy boots on. I'm just missing my cowboy hat. So.
Oh, come on. Let's go. All right. Well, that's a perfect segue into tell us a little bit more about yourself and before we jump into the magic.
Yeah, appreciate that. So I am a contractor through and through that now owns a technology company. So my journey is a little bit different from most other technology and fintech companies. So I started off, actually putting on siding in the winter of Minnesota. So I did that for a year or so until the winter came, and then it was really cold. And I realized that was not my life. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it just wasn't for me. So then I actually got into selling siding and windows, when I was about 20 years old in the late 90s, sitting in front of Mr. and Mrs. Jones. I fell in love with the industry. And then through that, I've had many different hats on the home improvement side. I, was a sales manager. Then I was a finance manager for a $150 million home improvement company. With that, we were part of the Jacuzzi Bath Network. I was on the Renewal by Andersen Finance Council. So I helped. I've trained thousands of sales reps on how to present financing, how to, weave it into your sales process. And then as soon as that company started selling off to private equity, I realized there was a miss in the space where, contractors were either using, one or two first look lenders and not really getting all their customers bought. So I found a niche where we built a platform where it's a single application and you have multiple lenders and it helps, you close more deals and be more profitable.
Wow. So from what I remember, most contractors, if they even do financing at all, if they do, it's usually one or two different lenders, and it's an awkward experience to go from submitting one time, okay, let's try another one, and then maybe another one, and it creates a lot of friction. So you're saying which is a perfect segue into our next question, which is tell us about One Click Contractor. How does it work? It sounds like you're going to fill in the blanks.
For sure. Well, even just to go back to what you're saying, like if you think about it, even if you are working with, let's call it two or three lenders, and think of the experience for the customer, right? Like, so you go to the first lender and they say no. It's an awkward conversation. That air completely leaves the room. And now you have to be like, all right, well, don't worry, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. We have another lender who's really, really great. Let's just get your information one more time. So it's not only uncomfortable for the customer, but think of the sales rep, right? So just having that single application and just, it gives a person with maybe a 600 credit score an 850 buying experience, right? So One Click Contractor, we're a technology company. So we have two different product lines. Our first product line is an estimating tool. So you think of, you get your raw lead, it goes into your CRM, then we integrate with a bunch of different CRMs. And then so it's the sales rep would go to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. They would take care of all their discovery questions, and then they can build the project and estimate whatever it is, whether it's roofing, bath, siding, whatever the situation is. So they can build a project, get a price. Then we have a price presentation tool, and then they can handle their contracts and like payments, like whether it's credit cards or ACH, they can do all those processing. So that's our first, tool. And then we have our One Look financing application, like I was telling about. So that is we have about 12 lenders on the platform. So it's a single experience for the sales rep. So it's one application. always the same on the front end. And then we do a soft credit check on that consumer, and we're going to match that consumer up with the lender that's going to give them the most likely chance for an approval. So it's very scalable. You can change lenders in and out. We have multiple first, second, third look options, buying all the way down to 550. And then for the accounting team, they also have a single experience to pull funds on the back end as well.
Wow. That's amazing to be able to. It sounds like you have a very seamless system for the sales process, from estimating to payment. Sometimes that'll be two different things, right? It'll be the presentation, and then let me go over here to do this. And this is all a seamless experience, which is very important for close ratio. And not only that, if the payment is financing, now it goes into a seamless experience for soft pull to multiple lenders, and getting as low as 550 credit score approvals. That's awesome. And what do you see in the space right now? How are most contractors getting this wrong right now? What's that scenario look like?
Yeah, I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, where a lot of contractors get it wrong is they might be working with multiple lenders, but usually what I hear is they're working with multiple first look lenders, right? And that's everybody's going to be able to approve an 850 credit score, right? That's easy. But when you're working with multiple first look lenders, you're going to get the same results, right? So, you need to work with enough lenders that will, be able to buy all your customers, right? So I think that's step one. The other thing is a lot of contractors don't even advertise for payment options, right? So if you're not advertising for payment options, you're not setting your sales reps up for success when they walk in that door. Because when you bring up financing early and often, your close rates go up, your average ticket goes higher, you make more money. So if you're not advertising for it, you're missing the boat for sure.
Wow, that's huge. That's a little gold nugget. I'd say that's a big takeaway for listeners and contractors listening in right now would be, hit financing early and often. And the more you do that, the more revenue you're going to generate, the more closes you're going to generate, the higher the tickets are going to be. Wow, that's powerful.
For sure. I mean, like even, when we're a $150 million, bath company. And I used to have some pretty colorful conversations with my sales leaders, like, hey, we were financing about 40% of our business at the time. And I'm like, hey, we're leaving some meat on the bone here. And, I'm like, I challenge them on our sales process because we were only bringing up financing and payments kind of towards the end of the conversation. I'm like, guys, we're missing it here. So we started to bring it up earlier in the conversation, and we started financing 70% of our projects. And, we were, 20% gross profit. Or net profit, I should say. We were crushing it. So,
wow. So you went from financing 40% to 70%. And did you see an increase in close ratio and tickets and profits? What was the before and after comparison?
Yeah, so our close ratio went up about 10%. And we were always a really strong closing company, but still went up 10 points. That was massive. Wow. Our net profit was 20%. And our average ticket went up about 25% too. Wow.
So for Christian contractors listening right now that are on the edge of their seat and they're like, how do I get an extra 10%? Give us a little bit of an example of probably the super quick elevator version of probably what their process sounds like now, and then compared to what your recommended approach would be.
Yeah, I would say their process is probably similar to a lot of people, where they have a step selling model, whatever process they follow there. And then they bring up financing once you start showing numbers, right? And that's just too late. So the process, how it should be, advertise financing, whether you're doing a same as cash, like no payments for 12 months or payments as low as XYZ, doesn't matter, just as long as you're doing that. And then once your rep, or if you're still selling, you walk in the home, you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, how did you hear about us today? Oh, whether it's ValePack, Facebook, whatever it came from. Like, oh, that's our 20% off and our 12-month same as cash program. Our customers are loving that program right now. So literally you can mention financing in the first 5 minutes of talking to them. And you also let them know that other people are buying your product, right? Because it's a herd mentality. So if other people are buying it, that means they want to buy it. So you're able to bring it up in the first 5 minutes. And then I also recommend that you do your discovery questions, whatever it is. And, discovery questions are, how long have you been thinking about this project? Why have you done anything before? Just, very basic, seek to understand. And then you let them know one other thing like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, just to let you know, this is how people move forward with us. Some like to pay cash, via check or credit card. Some of our customers like to take a hybrid approach where it's some down on a credit card and the rest finance. But most of our customers like to fully finance. Which bucket do you think you'd fall into? If they answer that question, awesome. Talk about it. If they don't, it doesn't matter. It's all about dropping seeds throughout that process.
Wow. That intro, I love the intro of mentioning it right there in the first 5 minutes of planting the seed on financing and how most of other customers have moved forward with you, and also tying it to like, oh, you saw this specific promo offer, so they feel like, oh yes, like that's what I wanted, that's what I was looking forward to, and I'm locked in and I'm looking forward to hearing more about this thing that I learned about. And it feels congruent, consistent, streamlined of like, oh yeah, I connected from something that I did back here, and it picks it up and it plants the seed early about the financing.
Yeah.
I heard you say 20% off. Do you mention right, a 20% off? Do you mention a monthly payment? I mean, in that first 5 minutes or
I mean, it
how
all
does that
depends.
sound?
Yeah. I mean, like, people's promotions change monthly, right? Sometimes it's free install or, BOGO, whatever the situation is. That's, in my opinion, that's less important. You always want to have a monthly promotion just so you can create some urgency to get them to buy a little bit quicker, right? Something that's going to be going away. I'm a big fan personally of advertising a same as cash program, whether it's like a 12 months, no interest, no payments. For a couple reasons. Typically, it leads to a better quality credit customer than advertising for a payment. But also, if you have somebody, we're all consumers ourselves, right? So if I'm interested in buying something, I do a ton of research. Now, if I'm researching something and then all of a sudden a company that's offering something that I want to buy is now also offering 12 months of no interest or no payments, I'm going to move a little bit quicker to move forward with that project. So that's why I like doing the same as cash advertisements.
I like that. I love that. I think that's my, just from hearing from you and listeners tuning in now, that obviously the offer needs to change all the time, but I love the idea of that financing being in there so that they're already anticipating that into the closing process. I love that. Okay. Wow. That's huge value. Obviously, one-click contractor, it sounds like you have a beautiful, seamless sales process. You have an awesome multi-lender approval process to get people more approvals, get more closes. But not only that, you brought some awesome value to the table of your personal experience in sales process and in the industry.
Yeah.
That's a huge gold nugget for me. And I'm sure a lot of listeners tuning in right now. So that's amazing. And last question for the podcast for today, we'll have to have you back on in the future. But what gets you excited about the future of the industry for one-click contractor, where the industry is going? You have AI. What gets you excited about the future?
Yeah. What gets me the most excited about this industry is people never want to stop learning and growing, right? You would never think that about this industry of like, it's a bunch of contractors, right? A bunch of just blue collar individuals. And this industry just amazes me of just like how everybody's trying to get better every day. And they're working on mindset, they're working on their business and like trying to get better. So it makes me excited about this industry. I love AI. I think we all do, right? I think everybody's on ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you're doing. I'm a little nervous about AI. What I mean by that is it's, a lot of people are using AI in their business. What makes me the most nervous about it, though, is once it's not subsidized like it is, what's that going to do once the real prices come with AI? So I think that's going to be super interesting.
That's a good point.
Yeah. but we use AI for coding on our side. I use a ChatGPT every day, right? So I think it's a great tool, and it's done a lot of great things, especially for the marketing side. Like you can have your call center can be an AI agent right now. It's just insane what you can do, and you can text leads and get setting leads through texting. Like there's a lot of really cool things with AI right now.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on that. The mindset of the industry. We got some hard workers here in the industry, and that's those are good people. We're making things happen. So I love it. I love it.
Been in this industry for 25 years. So I love
25 years. 25 years. Amazing. Well, like I said, we're gonna have to have you back on again.
Yeah,
but to close out for today's podcast, I always say action packed and value packed. Here in under 30 minutes. Where can people find you?
If you go to One Click Contractor, you can set up a demo there. You can find me on, all the social media platforms just under Justin Hatcher. Would love to connect with anybody. I've been in this industry. I've seen a lot of things, know a lot of things, and happy to teach whatever I can. So.
Amazing, Justin. Really appreciate your time. And for the listeners tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in to the Christian Contractor Podcast. I'm Brandon Guthrie with Dream Design Labs. If you're a Christian contractor that wants to grow your business in God's name, learn how we do just that at go.dreamdesignlabs.com/apply. Check it out. It's free, and I guarantee you'll get great value from the content. Remember, marketing doesn't have to be hard. All you need is the right tools and the right heart to serve. Till next time, just stay blessed. Justin, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you, Brandon. Thank you, Ben.